Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Lydia, the Fun Finance Queen, your money mentor online. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to talk about a situation where if you have a spouse that is not working or you are not working and you need additional income, here's where you can find it. So we know that there's a cost of living crisis going on. And we know that people have been laid off pretty recently, and that has caused two-income households to become one-income households in many situations. So what can we do about it, and what has the government done? Well, this really means that some expenses that we'd usually be able to manage are unmanageable now. If we know of situations where, I'm sure we all do, where there have been increases in our utilities, increases in our bills, in our expenses, and the cost of food, all of those things have made it less manageable. And what we found is that we're being squeezed financially in the UK because of the fact that there's a cost of living crisis. And I believe it's not in the UK just alone, it's everywhere else as well. The challenge there is that incomes are not rising and sometimes falling, and then expenses are actually going higher and higher. So that puts us in a position where we need to rethink, and the government has actually put some things in place that should help us with this to a small degree. As your money mentor online, I went digging, and what I found was something called the marriage allowance. Now, this has been around for a long time, I believe, but the focus here is that every single person, every human being that breathes in the UK gets a 12,750 basic allowance, which means that we don't have to pay tax on that amount of money. That is the first portion of money that we earn. It is untaxable. It is free to everybody. So if you have a kid, for example, who's making 12,750, they don't get taxed at all. They get everything. Their national insurance might be taken out, but everything else goes into their pocket. So if you have someone who is not working in your household, or who is working but earning less than that amount a year, you have the right to take a portion of their tax-free allowance. I know. So this is actually a really powerful tool because it lowers your tax burden and potentially increases your income. All right, so let's think about it this way. John and Mary are husband and wife. Okay, in that situation, let's say Mary is not working. That allows John to actually get 10% of Mary's tax break. So her tax allowance, 12,750, you actually get 1,260 as a tax credit to John. It's pretty cool. And then what happens is Mary, because she's not working that much, doesn't end up paying any taxes because she wasn't supposed to. But John pays a little less in taxes and actually puts a little money in his pocket. So about £252 a year. Nothing earth-shattering, but definitely something for everybody, okay? So the only criteria, a situation in which John will not be able to get that money is if he earns more than basic rate taxes. So I've talked about this before in previous videos. I will stick that video here, which talks about the different types of tax brackets that we have. But there are four tax brackets in the UK. You have your personal allowance from £0 to £12,750 a year. You pay zero tax on that. The second one is from £12,751 up until £50,270. So that is the basic tax rate. So if John is earning up to or less than £50,270, he will be able to get that tax credit from Mary, his wife, and she will sign that over to him, and he will get additional income for the family in that way. So the important thing to note is Mary has to be earning less than £12,750 for that tax credit to go to John. Secondly, we also need to understand that if John is not earning the basic at a basic pay rate up to £50,270, he can't get the money. So this will come back to bite people who are higher earners or on the higher tax rate, because at that 40% rate, they're not going to give you that little bit of money that would have been so helpful to your household. So bear that in mind. If, for example, you have a spouse who is earning over that basic rate, say they're earning 60,000, unfortunately, you get nothing. It's really, really unfair in that sense because you get nothing. There's not an opportunity for that marriage allowance to be transferred to the spouse. So super important. I'm just going to run over this one more time with you. And of course, if you have any questions, throw that in the comments below and you can ask me those questions. So John, for example, earns basic tax rate. Let's say he earns £30,000. Mary owns less than the $12,750 personal tax allowance that we don't pay tax on. Mary can transfer 10% of that, £1,260, over to John, and he will be able to pay less in taxes a year, putting more money in his pocket, putting more money in the household's income pot. So in essence, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not claiming this, if you're a one-person income, or if you're a 1.5-person income in the sense that the second person doesn't have to pay tax, you have the ability to do this. Call HMRC, check online, Google this for yourself. I'm not going to send any links or anything. I really want you to do the homework yourself. Google this yourself and see what the marriage allowance is and whether you are able to get it. It'll take you, if you're unsure, it'll take you maybe 30 minutes on the phone with HMRC, and they should be able to give you this information as well. It's an excellent opportunity for everyone. If you're not using it and you are eligible, please make sure you use it. This is a right of every person who works in this country to actually get that tax-free allowance of $12,750. If someone in your household that you're married to is not getting it, you have the right to get it yourself. All right, everybody. Now remember, Mary will have to sign that over to John for it to work. So it has to be someone you're actually in speaking terms with. But it's important that you pay attention to that. So guys, I hope this is helpful to someone today. We all need that little bit more of help in this cost of living crisis. And my hope is that if you are eligible, you can actually pull that money and make good use of it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on today. Again, my name is Lydia, the Money Mentor Online. You have 3 things you need to do before you leave. The first is that you need to share this video with someone who you think will benefit from it. The second is you need to like this video. And the third is you need to subscribe to my channel. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on the next one.